Okay, so have you ever been in a situation, where everyone around you is just like dying of laughter
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, was that a joke?
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
It's like everyone else is in on some kind of inside joke.
Right, and you're just like on the outside looking in.
Exactly. Completely lost.
And this happens a lot, when it comes to like English humor.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with all its like nuances and cultural references and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's tricky and honestly, sometimes it can feel like you need uh like a decoder ring or something.
Decoder ring for laughter.
Right, like a secret language.
I love that.
So, on today's deep dive, we are going to try to give our listeners the tools to understand some of those nuances of English humor, and specifically, we're going to be focusing on
Okay.
sarcasm
Ooh, good one.
because sarcasm is just one of those things that can be so hard to pick up on if you're not
Mm.
a native speaker.
Yeah, it could be super confusing.
And so, if you're someone who's trying to improve your English fluency, understanding sarcasm is actually like a huge
It is.
step forward because it shows that you're not only getting the language,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also starting to understand the culture.
Exactly. Like you're getting those subtle social cues, the unspoken rules, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. So, to get started, I think it's helpful to kind of understand why
Right.
English humor in general can be so difficult to grasp for people who didn't grow up with it.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. I mean, think about it. Humor is so deeply rooted in culture, right? Like what one culture finds hilarious, another might find totally baffling or even offensive.
Right. And so, when you're learning a new language, you're not just learning like the vocabulary and grammar.
Right.
You're also learning a whole new set of cultural references and
Yeah,
unspoken rules of communication.
absolutely. It's like trying to learn the steps to a dance without
Oh,
knowing the rhythm or the music.
that's such a good analogy.
Thanks. So when it comes to English humor, there are a few things that can make it extra tricky. Like one big one is the reliance on cultural references.
Oh, yeah.
Like think about shows like The Simpsons,
Oh, yeah, The Simpsons.
or Monty Python.
Oh, yeah, Monty Python. So good.
If you haven't grown up watching those or being exposed to those, like
Right.
so many jokes will just go right over your head.
Completely.
And it's not just pop culture, it's also references to historical events or political figures or like current events. It's like a whole web of shared knowledge that you kind of need to tap into to get the joke.
It's like you need a cultural encyclopedia in your brain to decode it all.
Seriously. And another big hurdle is the whole concept of sarcasm.
Oh, sarcasm. That's the big one.
It is, I mean, it's essentially saying the opposite of what you mean, right? But it's done in a way that's supposed to be funny or like make a point.
Yeah, and the trick is figuring out when someone's being sarcastic.
Totally. Because the words themselves might sound positive, but the tone of voice and the context
Right.
completely contradict that.
Like, for example, if someone says, oh, this is just great, but they're stuck in like
Right.
a huge traffic jam.
Yes, exactly. They're obviously not actually thrilled about the situation.
Right, but they're saying it in this way that's like
Yeah.
kind of dripping with sarcasm.
Exactly. And the way you can usually tell someone's being sarcastic is by paying attention to their tone of voice.
Hmm.
Is it overly exaggerated? Are they speaking in a monotone? Or do they have a certain, like, facial expression that just screams sarcasm?
Right, like an eye roll.
Yeah, like a subtle eye roll or a smirk.
Or that kind of like flat deadpan delivery.
Yes. Deadpan is a classic giveaway.
Where they're like
Yeah.
saying something that's supposed to be positive, but their face is just like
Completely blank.
a blank canvas.
And then there's timing, right?
Yeah.
Like in English humor, the punchline, the funniest part of the joke, often comes at the very end.
Oh, the time.
Yeah, and if you miss that buildup or the subtle pauses that lead to the punchline,
Right.
the joke just falls flat.
It just doesn't land.
And I mean, think about it. If you're not a native speaker, your brain is already working overtime to process the language itself, right?
Right.
So then you add on top of that these extra layers of cultural references and sarcasm and timing.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that it can take a little longer to get the joke.
Well, and there's actually research that shows that it takes non-native speakers about 30% longer to process sarcasm
Yeah.
than it does for native speakers.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra processing time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling a bit lost or behind in these comedic moments, just remember, your brain is doing a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about it.
Exactly. It's totally normal.
Okay, so now that we kind of understand why English humor can be such a challenge, let's talk about the different types of humor that you might encounter, because not all jokes are created equal.
Totally. There are different styles, and each one has its own little quirks and telltale signs.
So let's start with the one we've already touched on a bit, sarcasm.
All right, so sarcasm, as we've mentioned, it's all about saying the opposite of what you actually mean.
Right.
And it's usually done for comedic effect or sometimes to make a point in a like subtle or ironic way.
Right, like a subtle dig.
Yeah, exactly. So like imagine someone spills their coffee all over themselves
Oh, no.
and they say, "Oh, fantastic, just what I needed."
Mm.
Clearly they're not happy about it,
Mm-hmm.
but they're using sarcasm to express their frustration
Yeah.
in a humorous way.
Right, because no one actually wants to spill coffee on themselves.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But the sarcasm kind of makes the situation a little less awkward, a little lighter.
Yeah, it's like a coping mechanism.
Exactly. And to spot sarcasm, pay attention to the tone of voice. Is it exaggerated? Are they rolling their eyes? Is their facial expression totally at odds with what they're saying?
Yeah, the facial expressions are a dead giveaway a lot of the time.
Totally. They're like little clues.
Yeah. Okay, so what's another type of humor that we should be aware of?
All right. So next up, we have self-deprecating humor.
Oh, self-deprecating humor. I love this one.
Yeah, this is where people make fun of themselves, their own flaws or mistakes.
Right.
Like you might hear someone say, "I'm so bad at cooking, even my dog orders takeout."
Yeah, or like, I'm so clumsy, I trip over air.
Exactly. And this kind of humor can be really endearing, especially in cultures like the UK or Australia, where it's seen as a sign of humility.
Right, like you're not taking yourself too seriously.
Exactly. It shows that you're down to earth and relatable.
Okay, so self-deprecation. Good to know. What else?
Okay, let's move on to puns and wordplay.
Oh, puns, the groaners.
Yeah, some people love them, some people hate them, but they're definitely a big part of English humor.
Yeah, they're all about playing with the different meanings of words.
Right, or words that sound similar but have different meanings.
Right, so can you give us an example of a pun?
Sure, so how about this one? Why don't scientists trust atoms?
Huh, I don't know.
Because they make up everything.
Oh, okay.
So there, the word makeup has a double meaning,
Right,
right, to compose something and to invent a story.
Okay, I get it.
Puns can be cheesy,
They can be.
but they can also be really clever and witty, and they show that you have a good grasp of the nuances of the language.
Okay, so puns, check. What's next on our humor tour?
All right, now we're getting into a slightly more sensitive area, dark humor.
Oh, dark humor. This one can be tricky.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's basically finding humor in things that are typically considered serious or even tragic, like death or illness.
Right, it's like finding a way to laugh in the face of adversity.
Exactly. And it can be a coping mechanism for some people, a way to deal with difficult subjects.
Right.
But it's really important to be aware of the context and the audience.
Yeah, because what might be funny to one person could be offensive to another.
Absolutely. So you have to tread carefully with dark humor, especially in professional or formal settings.
So it's kind of like a high risk, high reward type of humor.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about why English humor can be so tricky.
Yeah.
And we've explored some of the most common types of humor that you might come across.
Right.
But let's say you're in a situation where a joke just goes completely over your head.
Yeah.
What do? How do you handle that awkward silence?
All right. So first of all, don't panic. It happens to everyone, even native speakers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And there are a few things you can do to navigate those moments gracefully.
Okay, give us the tips.
So one strategy is to simply ask for an explanation.
Oh, like just say, hey, I don't get it. Can you explain it to me?
Exactly. You can say something like, "I'm not sure I understand the joke. Could you explain it?" Most people are actually happy to explain their jokes.
Right, they get to be the expert.
Yeah, they get to shine.
Okay, that's good to know. What else can we do?
Another option is to acknowledge that you're still learning the nuances of English humor, especially sarcasm.
So you could be like, oh, is that sarcasm? I'm still working on that.
Exactly. That kind of takes the pressure off and shows that you're self-aware and willing to learn.
Right, and it gives them a chance to kind of like adjust their communication style a bit.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, any other tips?
Well, if you want to keep things lighthearted, you could also say something like, "I didn't quite get that one, but your laugh is contagious."
Oh, I like that one.
It acknowledges the humor in the situation without pretending you understood the joke.
Right, it keeps things positive.
And remember, in many English-speaking cultures, laughing at your own confusion can actually be endearing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could even say something like, "Oops, my English just blue screened on that one." It shows that you have a sense of humor about yourself,
That's good to know.
and it can actually help you build rapport with people.
Okay, so embracing the awkwardness can actually be a good thing.
Absolutely. It's all about being authentic and showing that you're engaged.
All right, so we've talked about how to respond when you don't get a joke, but are there any like exercises that people can do to kind of train their humor radar?
Absolutely. Like any skill, understanding humor takes practice.
Okay, give us the workouts.
So one fun exercise is to watch short clips from English language sitcoms or comedy shows.
Oh, okay.
Shows like The Office or Parks and Recreation are great for this.
I love The
And
Office.
as you're watching, pay attention to the character's tone of voice, their facial expressions, the context of the scene,
Okay.
and try to determine whether they're being sincere or sarcastic.
No, that's a good one.
It's like a little game.
What else?
Another great way to practice is to analyze internet memes.
Oh, memes are everywhere.
I know, right? And they're often packed with humor. So find a few memes that you find funny
Oh, okay.
and ask yourself, why is this funny? Is it the image? Is it the caption? Is it a play on words? Is it a cultural reference that you need to look up?
Right, so it's like a little decoding mission.
Exactly. And by breaking down the humor, you'll start to see the patterns and the techniques that are used.
I like it.
And here's another idea. Keep a joke journal.
A joke journal. What's that?
So basically, every day, write down one joke that you hear or read in English,
Okay.
and then analyze it. What type of humor is it? What makes it funny? Does it rely on a specific cultural reference, or a double meaning, or a particular tone of voice?
Oh, that's a good one.
By actively engaging with the joke, you'll start to internalize the different elements of English humor.
Okay, so we've got sitcoms, memes, and joke journals. What else?
Well, if you're feeling adventurous, you could also follow some social media accounts that specialize in absurd or surreal humor.
Like what?
Accounts like @shitpostbot5000 on Instagram are good examples.
Okay, we'll have to check that out.
It's definitely out there.
Yeah.
But it could be a fun way to expose yourself to different styles of humor that might not follow traditional patterns.
So pushing the boundaries a bit.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about how to understand and appreciate English humor.
We have.
But what about those times when a joke just isn't funny to you?
Okay.
Or maybe it even crosses a line. When is it okay to not laugh?
That's a really important question because humor is subjective.
Right.
And you should never feel pressured to laugh at something that you don't find funny or that makes you uncomfortable.
Right. So what do we do in those situations?
Well, if someone tells a joke that's offensive or inappropriate, you don't have to force a laugh.
Right.
You can simply say something neutral like, that's an interesting perspective, or I see what you mean.
Okay, so just acknowledge it without necessarily endorsing it.
Exactly. And if you want to steer the conversation in a different direction, you can always say something like, anyway, going back to what we were talking about.
Right. Subtly shift the focus.
And for inside jokes, you can always express genuine curiosity.
Like, oh, there's a story there. Tell me more.
Exactly. That shows that you're interested in connecting with the person without pretending to understand something that you don't.
Right. And the most important thing to remember is that you never have to fake a laugh to fit in.
Absolutely. Being authentic and respectful is always the best approach.
Okay, so to kind of wrap things up, what are the key takeaways that you want our listeners to remember about English humor?
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember that humor is cultural.
Right.
So what might be funny in one culture might not be funny in another.
And to be patient with yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Learning to understand and appreciate a new culture's humor takes time and practice.
It's a journey.
And don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for clarification when you need it.
Yeah, people are usually happy to help.
They are. And remember, even native speakers don't get every joke.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So don't be too hard on yourself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into English humor, we have a challenge for our listeners.
Or a challenge.
First, we want you to watch a short comedy clip in English.
Okay.
We'll link to some suggestions in the show notes.
Good.
And as you're watching, pay attention to the type of humor being used. Is it sarcasm, self-deprecation, puns, dark humor?
Yes, try to identify the techniques.
Then share your aha moment with us on social media using the hashtag #GotTheJoke.
Love it. Tell us what you finally understood or what made you laugh.
Yes, and tell us what show you watched or what meme you analyzed.
We're really excited to see your insights.
And remember, the more you expose yourself to English humor, the more you'll start to pick up on the nuances and the cultural references.
And eventually you'll reach a point where you're not just understanding the jokes, but you're actually anticipating them.
Exactly. You'll start to laugh before the punchline even lands.
And that's when you know you've truly cracked the code.
You've become fluent and funny.
Fluent and funny, I love that.
Spread the laughter.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into English humor. We'll catch you next time.
Bye, everyone.